JL Seegars, hello.
Hi,
Hi, how are you?
good. How are you?
I am great. Welcome to Talia's Book Nook.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for accepting.
Please,
Um
I would not
you're
have
you're
this.
you're our first guest since hiatus. I last spoke to Tati Richardson in mid January, and then we had the ban and all this stuff, and I just needed like time to process.
Fair.
So I'm like, when we come back in March, I'm like, I want to talk to JL Seegers because your last release, Speak, came out on the 29th of January. Yeah, so congratulations on that. Um, Also, congratulations on becoming a USA Today bestseller.
Thank you. Thank
So tell me walk us through that day. Who told you? How did you find out? How do you feel?
Well, first of all, it was completely unexpected for me. I never check those lists. Like I never look at that. Because I was wrongly under the impression that, as an indie author, that just was, out of reach for me. But I actually got a text message from Kennedy Ryan.
Okay.
She was the one who told me. She was checking the list for herself apparently, and she saw me and Christina Forrest up there, and so we both got "Good Morning USA Today" bestsellers text, and it was very surreal. I was getting my son ready for school, and I was like, why is Kendi texting me at 7:30 in the morning? And that was why. And so it was a very surreal moment. Very nice to kind of be indoctrinated into that, that exclusive club by one of my favorite authors, a woman, I consider one of my mentors. I love Kendi. So yeah.
Okay. And Reclaim Me is the book that's on the list. Why
Yes.
do you think Reclaim Me, which is book 4 in New Haven, is it 4 in New Haven?
Yes, it is.
Yes, book 4 in New Haven. Why do you think Reclaim Me resonated so much with readers?
I will be honest and say I have no idea. If I thought that any of my books would have made that list, I really thought that it would have been Restore Me just based on sales data alone. But obviously I wasn't looking at the right data. But I don't know. I think there's something so real and raw about Hunter and Ray's story. It's like we're tackling topics like addiction, and like I always write imperfect characters, but I think that Hunter was imperfect in this very real and poignant way that I think that people could understand. Because I mean, like, I have family members who struggle with addiction. I think that a lot of people know that, that kind of struggle and that kind of pain. And so, I mean, I guess maybe, but maybe it was the secret baby and the and the angst, and I don't know what it was about them, but I am just so eternally grateful for that. To see them up there was amazing.
Okay, well, congratulations. So before we get into like the questions,
Okay.
I want to do a rapid fire. So first thing that comes to mind. Hold on, I have 6 pages of questions. Hold on. Okay, we're gonna play a rapid fire, and you're just gonna answer candidly.
Ooh, okay.
We're gonna answer candidly. Last 5-star read.
Oh, it was North King's Unexpected Inevitability by
Okay, by A.
Amanda A.
Valdez.
Valdez, of course.
Okay.
That was actually the last book I read. So, yeah.
Okay. Who would play Dominic and Sloane in a film or TV adaptation of New
Ooh,
Haven?
that is so crazy because okay, so when I did my own fan cast for Dominic and Sloan, the guy that I have pictured as Dominic, his name is Anthony Joshua. He's a British like boxer.
That's
And that man,
was
that,
Anthony. What's his
that
name?
man
Anthony
is
Joshua.
fine, fine. And I'm like, but does he, does he act? Does he want to get into acting? Because like I feel like we can make it happen. Like when I wrote Dominic, it was his face that I saw.
Is this who it is? No. You said he's British?
He's like a
Oh,
British Nigerian. Turn around, let me see.
okay. No, because this one's talking about he was born in Duluth, Georgia.
Oh
So
no.
Dublin, Georgia.
Mm-mm. Look, we know Anthony Joshua. He's like 6'7". Exactly.
Joshua. Okay, I'm spelling wrong. I'm spelling wrong.
And that's it.
Anthony.
Like, and for Sloane, I can never remember her name. Hold on.
Okay,
Um,
this is Anthony Joshua for the people them, for the men
mhm.
them. Since we're going to Britain, for the men them.
Yes,
Okay,
yeah,
okay, okay,
yeah,
okay.
the boxer, yeah. And I can never remember this girl's name.
What is she in? What do we know her from?
I saw her in, I think it was a TV show I was watching. It was called Rebel. And so it's like she's like the daughter of the female main character.
Why does
Um,
that title sound familiar?
I'm literally over here Googling like because I have the Lex Scott Davis. That's who I see as Sloan. Yeah.
Lex Scott Davis.
Yes. Especially when she has her curly hair. She's a vibe. So that's who I see. Those are
Okay,
my people.
this is Lex Scott Davis for the
Yes,
people.
yes.
Okay, okay, okay. All right, all right. Okay, next question. Which one of your heroines do you see yourself the most in?
I think I would definitely go with. Okay, before I usually say Mallory, but I think that I was rereading again in preparation for writing speak, and I think that I see so much of myself in Amina, just
Okay.
in that I was thinking about like how her attachment style is just so anxious, and that leads to like the breakdown of the marriage and like the inability to like communicate with Jax and really get to the heart of like what the issue was in their marriage and all that stuff. And ooh, she is me and I am she. And so Amina.
Okay. Can you tell us one of the tropes in your next book?
Ooh, my next book. It's Bodyguard and Protectee.
Okay, okay, okay. And we're gonna talk about that book later. We're gonna talk about that later. Who are your author besties?
Oh, I mean, I feel like everyone knows, Natasha Bishop,
Hmm.
Asia Monique, Mieka May, A. Valdez. That is my crew. That's
Okay.
my core group right
How
there.
often do y'all talk?
We talk like every day.
Every day. If you weren't writing romance, what genre would you be writing?
Ooh, mysteries.
Mystery.
I would be doing a little thriller, like that kind of thing. I
Okay.
was doing it.
What's your least favorite trope?
Ooh, I don't. I'm sure I have one, but right now at this moment, I'm like, I don't think I have one.
Okay.
Huh? Wait. I don't know. I don't know.
Okay. 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 Um, which couple is next in the Fairview novella series?
In the Fairview Novella series, we have coming next. It's gonna be Kendra and Orion.
Okay. Okay. I think like reading speak. I'm like I think these two are next. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. You can. I love to do like a little bit of like peppering in there, like so you get a feel for it, but not too much though. But yeah, they are up next. I don't know when though.
Okay. And what's the next book on your TBR?
The next book on my TBR is Can't Get Enough by Kendi
Okay.
Ryan.
Okay. Do you have an arc?
I have an art.
All right then.
She sent it to me directly, and I have not. She was like, "No rush," and I was like, "Yeah, but I want to get to it. I want to
Yeah,
get
yeah.
to
You have time before release, and it was really great. Anyways, so I want to tell you about how I discovered you. And I'm such a fan of yours, and I must say, kind of like when I got back into reading, you were one of those first authors
it."
that I read. I remember, I think I had read Tia Williams for the first time like in 2021. My book club, we did 7 Days in June in late 2022. Um, in March of 2023, read Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan. And I was like, I just want to read all the romances. So Audible had like a sale in May of 2023. and I'm just buying things. I'm like, if it's less than if it's less than the credit price, it's on sale to me. I'm buying it. And I'm like, who is this? Who is this JL Seegars with this like gray, black, mysterious cover? The book was on Restore Me was on sale, and I was like, I'm a purchase. I'm gonna buy it. So one, I think that's the first time I ever heard Winston James as a narrator, and he's one of my favorite narrators. And then I just like bought like the next book and the next book and again. And I did Release Me and Reclaim Me like physical, and I think I did parts 2 and 3 of Revive Me and physical. But I've been a fan ever since. And like I said, you were one of the first like Black romance authors I read when like I really got back into reading. So I just want to let you know I am such a fan. I love your work. You write the most beautiful, beautiful love stories. Where do you get your ideas from?
A little bit of everywhere, honestly. I like sometimes I'll be like I rarely tell this story, but I got the idea for Restore Me when I was watching a Facebook Watch TV show. It's called Sorry for Your Loss.
Okay.
It's got Elizabeth Olsen in it, and she's a widow whose husband suffered, with mental illness or whatever, and he falls off of a cliff, but she's trying to figure out if he fell or if he actually, um, purposefully went off the edge. And so she ends up like, on this journey, and she ends up in this thing with his brother. And I was like, ooh, hold on. And this was like I hadn't written anything. And then I just got that idea, and Dominic and Sloan would not leave my mind. And so I was just like, okay, I'm gonna do it. And so inspiration for me, it comes in like little ways. Like it can be a song that I hear on the radio, or a TV show, or just like a moment, or a look like between like characters. Like I get my inspiration comes from other art, so like it's just art, creating art, and so on and so forth. So yeah.
So when you came up with the idea for Restore Me, were you thinking about a full blown series? Did the series come after? Like, at what point did you say, I want to turn this into an entire series and build out these additional love stories for these side characters in Restore Me?
I will tell you, when I was writing the chapter where Chris shows up at that restaurant, that was I was just because I was when I was writing Restore Me, at up until that point I had never finished the book. I never finished the work. And so I wasn't thinking in the long term. It was, this is going to be a one and done situation. These people on TikTok is bullying me to write this book because I shared an excerpt, and I'm
Did they bully you about Chris and Mallory specifically? Okay.
Well, so it started off with being bullied about Dominic and Sloan because I started out doing like bookish content. I was just reading and sharing. And so I was like giving recommendations, and that's how I built my following. And then I shared an excerpt of Restore Me, and I think it was maybe like a scene that I had written with Dominic and Sloan, that first scene where they're together in a real way. And Dominic is like, he's talking about like seeing Sloan, like, like her body, how does he put it? Bowed and broken with like regretting me or something like that. And like I shared that line, and then people are like, well, what is this book? What's that?
I don't know.
And I was like, well, I don't know. Like I was just, because I'm just testing the waters. And so people were bullying me for Dominic and Sloan first.
Okay.
And so I wrote that book because I'm a people pleaser. And I was like,
What's your sign?
I'm a Gemini.
Okay. I just checking. Okay.
But I think it's more so the childhood trauma that makes me the people pleaser, but I don't know. And so I wrote that, and whenever I wrote that scene at the restaurant where Chris shows up out of nowhere, I was like, damn, I'm gonna have to give them a book. Like I too wanted to know what was going on with them and why she was so angry with him. And so yeah, it spiraled from there.
Okay. For the viewers, can we please reserve our questions for the viewer Q&A? Because I'm not scrolling, and y'all know this. If you tuned into Talia talk, Talia's book Nook. Excuse me. Save your questions. Save your questions. So speaking of Chris, last week I ranked all of your MMCs in your catalog, and this is my ranking. And I'm gonna hear your ranking next. But for me, for your 6 MMCs, Dominic is number 1, Sebastian is number 2, Xavier is number 3, Jax is 4, Hunter is 5, Chris is at the bottom.
Yeah.
What is your ranking? Rank your MMCs.
Okay, well, let me just say.
Oh, don't you defending? Not you about to defend Chris. You're about to defend Chris.
I'm not going to defend him. I cannot defend Christopher Johnson anymore. Okay, I can't. It was so funny to me when I saw your video, and I was like, somebody does have to be last, and I feel like if anyone's going to be last, it is going to be Chris, and I think it's the same for me. So no defense here. So I think number 1, Dominic is always going to be, my number 1. So
is it because of his character or like the sentimentality?
I think it's a mix of both. But I do think that, I go back to Dominic and I just think about like the longing and like the dedication and like the just, like those, even the small moments that like things that I know about like what he did and the way that he loved someone that never even made it into the book. Like I think about, those things. I'm like, that man really loves that woman. And I mean, that's true for all of the characters, but it's just something about those 12 years of waiting that's gonna eat down for me every time. Because wait for me, okay? I'm worth it.
Okay. Who's number 2?
Number 1 is Dominic. I would say that Sebastian is number 2 because he stood on big business behind Nadia, okay? He ain't play. And if you know, you know. So Sebastian's number 2. I think that I'm gonna have to give Hunter the number 3 spot. Okay. And I'm only saying that because seeing something about a bald headed girl dad is gonna do it for me every time. Hunter did not play about his baby, and I just love that he, he really owned the fact that like he messed up, and he was never angry at Ray for like having to miss his daughter's life. He knew he wasn't in a place to be good for her, to be good for their daughter. And I just love him for that. But he did step up and he got that man up out of there.
Yes.
He got his family back. And I love that. So number 3 for Hunter. And then I would say Xavier, Jax, and then Chris. Wait. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, I was like, no. Okay. So I was going to be like, wrong. Like Chris is number 6. So Xavier is your newest MMC in your latest release, Speak, which is book 2 in Fairview Novellas. For the readers who have not read Speak yet, what are 5 words you'd use to describe Xavier?
Ooh. He is serious. He is calculated. Like, and I like that. Like, I like a man with a brain. Like, Xavier be thinking. Okay. And he's caring.
Okay.
He's also very careful. He's very careful with Grayson. He does not put her life or her the life she wants to rebuild. He doesn't put that at risk, even though like he very much wants her. And then he is very attentive. Like he just pays attention to everything. Like he
Yeah, no, I love Xavier, and I think like I would have totally welcomed like a full blown novel. I'm like, I want more of this. What made you decide Fairview would be novellas as opposed to novels?
It was really simply just the fact that again was a novella, and so I was like, well, if we're going to the same world, I think that like I have this thing about symmetry. So I'm like, if this is a novella and they're in the same world and they're building off of each other, then this has to be a novella too. That was it.
Okay.
So, a little touch of autism. Just
so when you started Fairview, when you wrote again, did you have Speak in mind?
No,
okay.
Not at all.
So was this pressure again?
Oh
from the
no,
readers?
it was
Oh,
no, because no one, I don't think anyone was really expecting a story about Grayson because we barely see her in and again, we get her on a few phone calls here, there, whatever. But when I wrote again, I simply wrote again because I was tired of, I was tired of marketing,
okay,
Restore Me.
okay,
So
okay.
I was like, I need something new to talk about. I'm tired of talking about, Dominic and Sloan. And so that's where again came from. And the idea for Speak really came to me. I knew I wanted to go back to Grayson. I wanted to know more about her. I wanted to really get a feel for who she was. But the idea for her story came to me um, when I was listening to Janae Aiko's Columbo album,
Mhm.
and there's a song on there titled "Speak," and it's just talking about like the relief of leaving a relationship that doesn't serve you anymore, and something about that just made me think about her, and so I was like, this is her, this is her story, this is where she starts at, but I really wasn't expecting the divorce lawyer. She
No, I loved it. I loved it. Speaking of like Speak Janae Aiko, all of your books include playlist at the beginning. Um, are these songs more representative of the book, or is it songs that were close to you while writing the books?
I think that it's a combination because when I am so sometimes it can be like songs that really sparked an idea for the story and then they end up kind of representing obviously not closely because none of this music is made for these
Yeah.
books, but just kind of like being the direction that I take the story in. But I usually try to have songs that were important to me in the writing process. Like when I was, I wouldn't have written Speak if it wasn't for that song. So I knew that song was going to be on the playlist one way or the other. But also sometimes I like to include songs that really just kind of capture the moment or like a specific moment. Like in Restore Me, like Dominic talks a lot about like, wanting Sloan and spending so much of his life like having to get over her, and that is directly tied to the JP Sax song that's on that playlist. It's A Little Bit Yours, and he literally says, like all I do is get over you, and I'm still so bad at it in the song, and that just felt like Dominic to me. He's
Okay.
like I'm just my whole life.
So the next book, can you tell us one of the songs on that playlist?
Oh, I don't have the playlist yet.
Okay, okay,
I
okay.
don't, and that is usually very weird for me because like I usually have at least one or two songs, but because this book is there's there are three people
No, I
in this,
know, I
in
know.
this,
But what are you comfortable telling the people about this next book?
oh, I mean, I love to share. I'm happy to share anything. So we are. This is a political romance. It is it's two Secret Service agents and the future First Lady of the United States of America. And I don't know. Thinking about politics right now is very hard for all of us. So I don't know how this is going to turn out, but because I think usually when I do the playlist, it's really like one person talking to the other. But something about having that third voice in there is really just like, I'm like, wait a minute, like, what are we saying? Because the two men have a pre existing romantic relationship. Um, and then they're bringing this woman into it. And yeah, it's it's different curating this playlist.
When is that coming out? When should we expect that?
Oh God. Okay, so my plan is for a May release. I'm hoping to have it.
This is in 2 months.
Yes,
Okay,
I know.
okay. So May 2025. I'm
Yes, so by
excited.
end of May, um, like right before Black Romance Book Fest. So
Yes. And so I'm just gonna get my copy at the Black Romance. Okay,
exactly,
okay.
yeah.
Is this gonna be a part of a series?
So it's a duet. There
Okay.
is it's the Passion and Politics duet. So the first book is The Illusion of Power. The second book is A Taste of Sin. And so yeah, like we'll start off with that that first book and then wrap things up in the second one. So
Okay. All right. Um, all right. May 2025. That is literally around the corner. Okay, so this is happening.
yeah.
What's your your earliest memory of reading romance?
Um, so my grandpa used to read historical romance, and
Okay.
he would keep them in the house, and I would sneak and read them. Had no business because they were smutty. They were like, it was like the mass market, like Dollar General, like like clinch covers, like historical romance, and I would just read them, and from there it really spiraled into like me reading like more tame things recommended to me by my like eighth grade English teacher, but that was all YA, and it was all Sarah Dessen, and but yeah, that definitely at home, my grandpa's library collection.
Can you tell us about the first story you ever wrote?
Oh, it was probably some B2K fan fiction.
Who was your favorite in B2K?
Little Fizz.
Okay, okay. How do you seeing where the group has ended up now and its members have ended up now, is are you still a little fizz?
Tell you when I tell you that I literally when I get on TikTok these days, I literally they're always on live, right? Like Lil Fizz is always on live with J Bug and Razby, and I'm like, what are y'all doing here? Like,
Yeah,
what's
and as
going
someone who is
on?
like I was a serious B2K fan too.
Yes.
I'm like, when did y'all start? Like, I was like, it feels like y'all are always like falling in and out. So I'm like, oh,
Mhm.
y'all are all friends again now.
Yeah,
So
but
I'm
then it's
like,
like
when did this happen?
it's on the tail end of Omarion and Trey Songz and all of them doing the Millennium Tour again, and I'm like, we were supposed to do this once. We were supposed to do the
Did you
Millennium
go to
Tour
the
one
Millennium
time.
Tour in
I
2019?
did go to the
I
first
went to the
one,
one at
yes.
Eagle Bank.
Yeah, I
I went
went
to
to the one in Charlotte with all of my friends from like middle school. That was like the last time I saw them. We it was like it was one time for the one time. It was, and that's really what. And everybody was like, "Oh, Janelle, do you remember when you used to write that B2K fan fiction?" And yeah, I remember. I
no,
remember.
I was also into B2K fanfic, writing it, all of
Mm,
that too.
heavy on those messaging boards. It was crazy.
um, what was the moment that pushed you to start publishing your work?
Um, Well, I mean, in addition to the TikTok bullying, it was, I think I had this moment when I was explaining to my husband. My husband has always known that I loved writing, that I wanted to write. He was, my biggest cheerleader before anybody. He was a J.L. Seegars fan before anybody was a J.L. Seegars fan. He's the original, the president of the fan club. But I remember when I was writing Restore Me, and I was just like, I don't know if I can do this. And he was like, what do you mean? Like you can do it. Like I know you can do it. And I just like he just poured into me. Like all of my insecurities were coming out, and he just replaced them with his confidence in me. And I was like, okay, so I have to do it. And like that was the day when I literally went and I made my little KDP account on Amazon, and I like set up the pre-order, and I was like, fuck it, I'm doing it. Like I'm gonna go for it.
Does he
So
have what's his favorite book of yours?
oh, I don't know. I don't know. So he's been doing and you guys probably already know this because you see like his audiobook reaction. So he only reads my books when the audiobooks come out.
Okay.
Like that's his thing. And so far he's only listened to Restore Me again and Revive Me parts one, two, and three. And I think maybe his favorite would be Revive Me part three. Because we were talking and I bounced all of my ideas about like just about everything off of him, and so he loves how everything came together, like the way the timelines just layered over each other between like Restore Me and all that stuff. So I think it would probably be that one.
What is it like having your partner read your romance? Like, is that awkward? Is it like,
Not
no?
at all. Not at all. It's it's fun, and it's, I mean, in some ways he's not surprised because I'm telling him everything anyway. But by the time the audiobooks come out, he's like, "Oh, like, I just okay, like, I forgot everything." And so it's fun. Like, I never feel self-conscious with him.
Okay.
I don't think that there's any part of myself I've ever had to hide from him. And so this is, sharing that is just as natural as everything else. So,
That is wonderful. Um, which one of your books took the longest to write?
hmm. I think it was Restore Me. It took me months to write that book, and it was all self doubt and, just like uncertainty. And I think after that, it would be Revive Me Part One, because my original plan was to have all three parts of, all three timelines for Mal and Chris exist in one book, but I couldn't figure out how to do each version of them justice and condense it in that way. And so I just kept starting and stopping and starting and stopping. So yeah.
Yeah. And I did see a question asking why did you separate Revive Me into three parts? And I think it makes perfect sense. Like, we're meeting this couple at three different places in their lives, like
Mhm.
college, afterwards, and then kind
Yeah.
of like that reconciliation. So for me, the three parts, it makes sense. It
Yeah.
makes sense. What is your advice to aspiring authors?
Um, it's to, keep going. I think that you don't get anywhere if you keep stopping yourself. If I had stopped, I wouldn't be here talking to you. I think that so many times, like, we keep waiting for this moment where we feel like we're the real deal. And I was like, I talked, when we did the writers retreat last year, and I, had conversations with other authors who haven't published yet or whatever, and it was just this constant conversation about imposter syndrome and how, like, I just don't feel like I'm a real author. I feel like I'm playing pretend. And I was like, well, the secret is that we're all playing pretend. I'm playing pretend right now. Like, I don't know how to, like, I know that I want to embody this space and be a person who helps other authors, but I don't know how to do that. So I'm figuring it out as I go. And I think that I try to be very transparent about that because it's really easy to look at people and say, oh, they have this success and it must be really easy for them. They must never doubt themselves. And it's like, no, I am still over here doubting. So, yeah.
As an independent author, what would you say are the pros and cons of going the independent route?
Whew, child. We could be here all
What are the
day.
pros? Two pros and two cons.
Okay, so pros are always going to be that level of control that you have. I love, 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 love being able to say, this book is coming out in May, and being like, and people be like, oh, but have you written it yet? Is it? And I can be like, and haven't, and still say with confidence that it's going to come out in May because I said so. That's my favorite thing. And I would be very hesitant to ever give that up. That is my favorite thing. But on the other side of that is the fact that you are the person that is in control. And so nobody's coming to save you.
Yeah.
You're in it on your own. And even when you have like a community, like I have authors who have my back. I have an agent now. I have, this beautiful reader base. I know that I'm not alone in this journey, but still everything is on me. And so that's always gonna be the con. It's like, give me a team, please.
What's your favorite part of the writing process?
Ooh. I think it's figuring out how the characters are gonna make their way to each other. Like, I think that the drama and the angst and all the obstacles always come to me first. But my favorite part is, like, digging in and like wading through that with them. It's figuring out how, like, okay, you're here and he's there, and how are we gonna get y'all here? That I love that part.
Okay, okay. So I want to talk about you as a writer and kind of like your approach, your outlook. So on the homepage of your website, You define Black romance. I do my researches, okay? On the homepage of your website, you define Black romance as, quote, a book written by a Black author with Black main characters and a happily ever after. Um, you're obviously Black. You write Black romance, but you didn't have to write Black romance. Why did you choose to write Black romance?
Um, because I have like my husband, he is a Black man, and he is I have lived the relief of being loved completely by a Black man. I have, I've lived it, and I don't think that I could ever write anything with the amount of realness. I just don't think that I'd be able to do it. I think that there is a level of safety and comfort that I've found in the arms of a Black man that I just want to continue to recreate and celebrate, and just throw it in people's faces and be like, yeah, we are here and we are imperfect, but we love each other down. So.
Period. And I do think I think it's still a choice, especially like in this current landscape where, writers are trying to appeal to like the masses, and people are always thinking about like how much can you sell a book. And so like the fact that you've stuck to this, have you ever felt the pressure to deviate from this?
I mean, in terms of, has anyone ever said, hey, if you make this a white romance, it'll sell better? No. Okay. But I mean, like, how can you not, when you look at, writers like Colleen Hoover or whoever else, and when you see stories that were written as Black characters and then like adapted to reflect white characters, like, how can you not? But I just know that what is for me will not miss me. Like, I know that. Like, I know that I have a brand that I've built with my heart, like, forward facing. I have stories that I tell from my heart, and I have readers like you and all the people in these comments that have, carried me this far. And I know I won't be let down by that. And so y'all are loyal and sticking with me, and I'm gonna be loyal and stick with y'all. Like,
Period.
We locked in. It ain't no switching up.
So anytime I try to convince a friend to read your book, I think their instinct is to like hit the Google, and usually one of the first things they see is, quote, J.L. Seegars is a dedicated smut peddler.
Period.
Why the dedication?
I mean, because I feel like all of the books the books my grandpa used to read, they were smutty, okay? Like, they were smutty. And I feel like I've spent so much of my life being, like, ashamed of like owning my sexuality, and like, but I found so much of myself, so much of my comfort and like pride in like who I am and what I want and my desires, through books. And I refuse to leave that piece out of it. Like, I think that a lot of the times, like, it's not enough to just tell Black women, hey, like, here's a romance book where you can see yourself. And then not show them being actually desired and people acting on that desire. Like, there's so much of us being just, like, objectified, but not really worshiped. And I don't think you can really convey that worship on all the levels if you leave the smut out of it.
So there's little murmurs of conversations around the difference between spice, smut. Do you think there's a difference? Do you use the terms interchangeably? Like, why is smut the key word you use in describing your work?
I think it's just like the word that I grew up hearing, and the way that I like heard romance novels that include open door sex scenes described. It's really not until I got on TikTok and into these book spaces that, you start seeing people with the chili peppers and like the spice levels and all that. I don't subscribe to that level of like rating. Because I think that what some like it's all subjective. Like what one person might find like, scandalous is something that might be an everyday occurrence for other people. And so like I can just say like it's got smut. I'm not gonna tell you what the spice level is. Like I don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, you also say that according to your therapist, you do most of your emoting through writing. And this is something that I think I'm relating to a lot as
Yeah.
I'm currently writing. It's like I'm like, oh my God, this is actually the therapy that, I actually need real therapy, but like this has also been therapy for me. It's like, girl, why are
Yeah.
you crying? Why are you crying writing this work of fiction? But it's like, no, I am letting out like everything I feel, right? Um when did you go into writing wanting to emote and have that type of therapy, or while you started writing it just like, oh, all of these big feelings, these like, what, which one was it like, I'm going to use this as a therapeutic tool, or I didn't know this was going to be so therapeutic?
Oh, absolutely not. I did not go into it looking to emote. I really did not realize that I had put so much of me in it until, like, people started talking about Sloane's mom.
Okay.
And they were like, well, where the hell did you get the inspiration for that? And then I'm like, and I'm in therapy and I'm talking to my therapist about, like how I, I do a lot of minimizing my own feelings and I do a lot of, just like, oh, I gaslight myself a lot. Like, it's like, oh, it wasn't that serious. It wasn't that deep. You're just making it bigger than what it was. But then I get on the page and I'm writing this character who's having like these issues with her mom. And I'm seeing, people who are like, well, her mom shouldn't do that. And that was wrong of her to do this and do that. And I was like, oh, well, like, that is so wild to me to say. Because,
um
okay, but yeah, it was not intentional. I did not go into it thinking that I was going to do that, but it's been a nice like way to do it, a safe place to do it. So,
okay. um how privy is like your family to like your work and your writing?
so I told my mom and my dad that they're not allowed to read any of my work. Um, And I mean, like, they know that I write romance. They know that there are sex scenes in it. I just tell them they're not grown enough for any of that, which they find funny. But I mean, my siblings, my little brother, he doesn't read. He doesn't read it, but he loves to get a kick out of telling everyone that I write romance. He has friends that read my work, and he's like, "Oh, well, I don't know anything about that scene because I can't read it or whatever." And my sisters, they read it. Pretty much everyone knows now that I write and what I write, so that's been nice. But I'm like, if you read it, don't talk to me about it because I don't want
I
to
think
hear.
I'd be the same way. It's like, I don't want to.
Yeah, because people get weird and they're like, "Oh, I didn't know you were like that," and I'm like, I'm grown. I have a 9-year-old son. Like you got living, breathing proof
Yeah, yeah.
of what I'm like.
So your characters, and you say this all the time about your characters. They're imperfect. They're messy. You know, each of these characters have like their own set of traumas. How do you honor that without losing the romance and the happily ever after? How do you make sure that, listen, this is still a romance. This is still a love story.
I think it's a lot of balancing, and it's about framing the healing, um, through the love like that they find. Like I think that, and that again, that's a reflection of my journey with my husband. Is we both came to this relationship very imperfect, with our own struggles and traumas, and we found ways to tailor our love to like those specific traumas to help heal those hurts. And I think that that's why I try to have my characters heal, like because like it's like as the romance is building and like being able to fully appreciate what it is, you have to be able to kind of like heal and work through the things that are holding you back or keeping you from it. So yeah, it's a balancing act.
So how do you go about writing your MMCs? Like how does it work? How do you develop these characters and still make sure they're all like book boyfriend, book husband material, but also make them uniquely different? Like how do you go about writing an MMC? When you start writing a book, what goes into developing the MMC specifically?
Well, I always start with the FMC. It's all, it's usually it's always her story. Like it's what she's going through, where she is, and then I just kind of like I don't necessarily tailor him to be perfect to like her needs, but that is a part of it. But I always have to like double back and be like, okay, but he's still his own person, and like, what has he gone through? Like, what's he dealing with? And so it's a matter of visiting and revisiting, and like just I have to keep going back to him. And I think the only MMC that I've written where it was kind of like the opposite, or they've gotten maybe as much time and dedication in the beginning stages of development as the MMC is. I mean, as the FMC is Chris, because his storyline is so complex and he has so many things going on in the background. But yeah, it's
Okay.
just how it happens.
So you write, first person POV.
Mhm.
How do you go about writing the MMCs their point of view? Because you're not a man, you're not a black man. Like how do you research? Do you have a focus group? Are you just imagining things? Like how do you go about writing an experience that you have no lived experience around?
Well, there is no focus group. It really is just a matter of imagining them. It's because when I write, when I get into that place where I'm really like in the zone, like it's really more so like the characters telling me like what's going on, and then me just putting it down like on the page. And so I don't even it's not hard to do because by that point I'm so intimately familiar with this man, and like what he's gone through and how he's going to approach these situations and how he feels about this woman that it just happens.
Okay. Okay. Um, who's your favorite couple in the series of New Haven?
Ooh, my favorite couple. I think I think I have to give it to Hunter and Ray right now.
Okay.
Oh wait, actually no, Sebastian and Nadia.
Okay. Why them?
Because I think that there is just something so perfect about the way that they fit together, the way that his strength like just matches like all of her weaknesses and vulnerabilities, and something about them just having that secret about him unaliving somebody for her, like I mean, it's given like like I'm literally your ride or die, I'm literally your ride or die. So yeah, it's them. Yeah.
Just to clarify, not to clarify, even including Kendra and Orion, who is your favorite couple in Fairview?
Hmm. That is crazy. I don't know that we can include Kendra and Orion yet because I don't quite know like what's going on with them, but
Okay.
I do love their dynamic. I'm very excited about their dynamic and like seeing Orion be the daddy that stepped up. Like that's
Yes. No,
yeah.
he was kind of locked in like immediately.
Immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. And so I'm very excited about them, but I think maybe I'll have to give that to Grayson and Xavier because they just mm, like they're so cute to me. Like they're Jackson and Mina are great, but they have like all that history of like hurt and angst that they have to work through. But with Xavier and Grayson, it's just like, yeah, like I didn't do none of that to you. I ain't never hurt you, and I never will hurt you. And I really fucked with that.
Okay. Um, what is next? So we have, is it passion? What's the name of that series? Your politics,
Passion in politics.
passion and politics. What other ideas do you have swirling around? What's an idea you want to revisit that you maybe shelved?
So many ideas, Talia. I have so many
What, give
ideas.
me one.
So,
Give me your best idea, and we'll
oh,
let you
my
know if you
best.
should proceed.
I don't know if it's my best yet. Okay, so I have been flirting around with the idea of writing a romantasy. Don't
Okay.
ask me for all the details yet because I don't got them. But so everyone keeps talking about how they want Aaron Pierre to play one of like my characters. The romantasy, the MMC in that one, that's Aaron Pierre. I want to see him supernatural. I want to see him play a god, because
Okay.
that's what he
He got the
deserves.
eyes. He got the eyes for it.
Exactly, exactly. And then when I saw that video of him training with the damn chain around his neck and he's doing pull ups, I was like, yeah, God tier behavior. So that is Aaron Pierre. That's what we're
Okay.
saving Aaron
Have
for
you
the
started? Is
romantic.
that still an idea? Have you written anything?
I have
Have you
written
typed up anything?
nothing
Okay.
but a detailed synopsis that I sent to my agent that I cannot disclose anything about. So
What is it like having Taj McCoy, who's also a writer, as your agent? What is that like?
it's so much fun. I love Taj. I love having an agent who understands the author side of things. Because and not just like concept wise, but like she lives it, like she has her own agent and she has her own deadlines and all this stuff. So it's really nice to have someone who gets that side of what you're dealing with very intimately. I feel like it helps her advocate from a very different place. Like for us, and that's very, very nice to see. I love Tosh.
Okay. Do you have other people like kind of like on your team, um, besides her that you kind of work with and who kind of support you
Oh,
as an
I mean,
author?
I have my personal assistant who I've been working with for forever and a day, and I absolutely will never let her go. And Natasha reads and rambles. That's my baby. She keeps me together. She when y'all get those newsletters, that's from her. She
Okay. Okay. Are you full time writing?
Yeah, I am.
Okay. Was that always the case?
It was. So when I before I started writing, I wasn't working a traditional job. I was a web and brand designer. I had my own little company and I was doing all the things and then I got tired of dealing with people and their opinions.
Mhm.
And and I was like, I'm done with this. And so I transitioned from that into writing and I was very blessed to have such a amazing reception of Restore Me that I was able to, like just continue to do it full time. I haven't worked for the man in quite some time, and
Amen. Period. Period.
I'll never have to go back.
Okay. What is your can you describe like your writing environment? Like how do you under what conditions do you write the best? Or are you the most productive while writing? Like what is that layout? What is that setup? What are you listening to? What are you wearing comfy pajamas? Are you sitting upright? Like what are you doing in your writing environment?
So you're actually looking at it.
Okay.
So this is my
Okay.
desk area.
I'm
I
trying
got
to read the text on the whiteboard. What's on the whiteboard?
that is ideas for the romantasy I was telling you about.
Well, you have been writing. You say you're saying everything is in your head. You've been
I have
writing.
real words. I
That's words on that. You make it seem like it's only a figment, and you have a whole whiteboard that you can't even show us for real.
No,
So
I
you
can't. We
okay.
can't get that close to it. But so I have a home office, and it serves as a few different things. But I have this cozy little corner
Hmm.
of the world. I have my big computer screen, and then my laptop. Usually I don't listen to like music when I write. Like I don't. I know a lot of people like listen to the playlist for their books while they're writing. I don't do that. I will like play like instrumentals or like lo-fi, like hip hop or whatever. I can't have the words because then I'll just be singing and I won't be getting nothing. And usually, like my best writing days are either like really late at night, like when there's no one is awake and no one's there to interrupt me. Or when it's raining. Like I like to write when it rains because I have these big old windows and I can just like open the window and look at the rain because my brain is like, oh, if it's raining, we don't have anywhere to go. We don't have anything to do because I have one of those weird brains that's like, if it's raining, we can't leave the house. So
Okay.
if it rains, then I can be productive.
Okay. What's been like the most, I would say, like rewarding reaction to your books? Like what feedback have you received from a reader that affirmed that this is something that you're meant to do? Can you recall one of those times that you receive feedback where you're like, "Oh, I'm doing exactly what I need to do." And
I think it, I don't have a like a specific one, but it really is every time I see a comment where someone says that like one of my books like has healed them or they have, like it's moments like that where someone is like, I see myself like in your work, or even when people say like you were saying like, you welcomed me back to like romance, or you were my first black romance book and all this stuff, and the first book where I was able to see myself as someone who looked like me being loved. That it always just hits me right here, and it's one of those things where I'm like, I'm never letting this go. Like I always feel in those moments that I'm exactly where I'm meant to be.
okay. Can you talk about your writers retreat and kind of like how you're mentoring, I guess, aspiring writers? Like what pushed you to want to kind of take on that role as kind of like a mentor um
I
for aspiring writers?
I feel like I have always like I'm always like the mama in my friend group. I'm a mother hen. I always have been. And I think that when I entered into this book space and I started meeting readers who are also writers, and like people just ask me questions and they're like, oh, like you know what you're doing. And I'm like, I mean, I don't, but I'll try to help you like in any way that I can. And so just being able to like give that advice to at first friends, and then I was just like, talking to Natasha Bishop one day, and we were both talking about how we end up in these situations where we are talking to aspiring writers and like just pouring into them and encouraging them and giving them that love that we wish that we would have had, that would have, kind of like if we had found each other sooner, it would have kind of catapulted us to this level quicker. And so I've just always wanted to make sure that I'm like a resource and like giving back to people and giving people a hand up. And that's where the retreat was born from. It was a beautiful time, but I was so tired after that retreat.
So when I interviewed Natasha back in December, um I think she said maybe that next retreat will be in
2026.
2026. Okay. And how can aspiring writers kind of tap in and be in the know about that next retreat?
Ooh. Well, see, that is, just follow us on socials, on our socials. Um, Subscribe to our newsletters because that will most definitely be the first place where that gets shared. I will say that all of our, previous cohort from 2024, they have already said that they are all coming back. So they was like, they don't know where y'all gonna sleep, but if
Okay.
y'all
Okay. So,
they're like, I don't know where they gonna be at, but if like if they coming, they should come. But we gonna be here too. So I don't know. We y'all might have to fight for beds, but we'll make it work.
so like in the mentorship, like you're obviously telling authors like, just do the thing. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just, pour your heart out. What is the pieces of business advice that you need aspiring authors to know? Because it's not just writing the book. Like what business do our aspiring authors need to have in order to be successful
Hmm.
at this?
So I think that one of the things I always get into it about with like not really like get into it, but like it's always a topic of conversation for aspiring authors, especially if they are thinking about self-publishing. It's always that conversation about whether they should do KDP. And that's, for those of you who don't know, like that's Kindle Direct Publishing. That's the platform that Amazon pushes the books out through, but everyone always wants to know if they should do the Kindle Select part of it, which is what puts your books in Kindle Unlimited and makes them free to read for readers. And everyone's always like, oh, but if you do that, then you are exclusive to Amazon. You can't have your ebooks anywhere else. And I'm always like, yeah, I get it. You want to be wide, you want to be everywhere, but it doesn't really matter if you're everywhere if no one is looking for you. And one thing that I will give to Amazon, as much as I can't stand those people, is that they do a really good job of putting eyes on your work. And so I always tell people, like, if you're going to self-publish, if you're going to do it, like, you need to be in the Kindle Select program. You need to have your stuff available in Kindle Unlimited. It is by far the largest, platform for self-published authors. It's where I make the majority of my money every month. So I always tell people to be in there. Don't let the whole exclusivity part of it scare you. It is where you need to be. That's the first, order of business. And of course, things like pay your taxes. And I'll say, I still have to give myself that talk every now and again. And I also always talk to authors about like the whole act of creating a brand and like being a presence and not just being there like throwing your book in people's faces, but actually building a community and nurturing relationships, because it's nothing more icky to me than when people are just like in comments and just read my book, read my book, read my book, and it's like, but who are you? Like, I don't have any connection to you. We actually had a whole workshop about that at the writers retreat, about like building your brand and creating like real connections with people that's not just based on like your end goal of selling. So
Okay. Okay. Um, Audiobooks. What is the timeline for like the rest of New Haven? Is there a timeline for the rest of New Haven?
if there is a timeline, I do not have it. I do have an audiobook company that produces all of my audiobooks, is through Tantor Media, and so they don't give me a whole lot of, like, oh, it'll be this or this. When I find out when the dates are, I will make sure that you guys know. I don't sit on any of that information. It does not serve me in any way. I know that it takes them a while when they get the books. Like, I know that when I sent them the manuscript for Revive Me Part 3, that book didn't come out until a year after, on audio, until a year afterwards. So I, press them and annoy them, but they move on their own time. So,
Okay. Okay. How involved are you in selecting narrators?
oh, I'm very involved in the process of selecting narrators, because I made sure that that was one of the parts of my contract, because I was like, y'all not about to have no white people narrating my books. I'm not about to play that.
Uh huh.
And even though nobody says nigga in my books, if they can't say nigga, they can say so. So yeah, I'm involved in the selection process. So
Yeah. Well, I love Winston, and like I said, Restore Me was my introduction to him. I'm like, oh,
yeah, he did his big one. He ate down.
no,
Winston does a great
he's
job.
wonderful. He's wonderful. Um, so we're gonna end with a this or that.
Okay.
And while we're doing our this or that, viewers are going to put their questions in the comments now. Now is the time to ask your questions, readers, viewers. Oh wait, one more thing.
Mhm.
What book events are you going to be at this year? Because this is the year of the book events. Where are you going to be?
I'm gonna be at um Black Romance Book Fest.
Okay, that's May in Atlanta.
Yep, May in Atlanta. I'm gonna be attending Behind the Pen, but not as an author, as a reader. So you can see me there, but I might sign a book or two if you have it with you, but I won't have a table or anything like that. Um, I'm also doing Stimulant this year. I feel like I'm forgetting something, but I don't know. But I do try to keep all of my events updated on my website. There's an upcoming events page. If there are tickets that are available to be purchased, I usually try to link that there. So yeah, you can
Okay.
find
Okay. And someone asked about the retreat, 2026, right?
2026.
2026. And it seems like space will be limited, so y'all, y'all need
May
to
the
get
odds be
together.
ever in your favor.
Okay, so time for the this or that. For everyone else, put your questions in the comments. All right, so you're just gonna tell me this or that.
All right.
Pregnancy trope or epilogue baby?
Pregnancy trope.
Okay, words of affirmation or physical touch?
Oh, physical touch.
Cal or Beck? And these are the MMCs from the Illusion of Power.
Okay. Ooh, Beck. Cause
Why?
he's grumpy. He's a grump, and he has this complex backstory going on that like is really keeping. He's the reluctant but passionate one. So yeah, yeah.
Okay, Beck. Okay, so we're gonna look out for Beck in May.
Mhm.
Second chance romance or second chance at love
Second chance
romance?
romance.
Second chance romance. Do you like character driven or plot driven stories?
Character driven.
Okay. Sebastian or Hunter? Ooh.
Hunter.
Okay. I think you already answered this. Writing with music or play or writing in silence, and it seems like it's kind of
Yeah,
the in between with the
yeah.
instrumentals. Okay. Fast paced or slow burn?
Slow burn.
Okay.
Awesome.
And do you prefer book talk or bookstagram?
Book talk, of course.
Why? Why book talk?
This is where I got my start. I don't know them bookstagram girls. Like,
Oh, don't not too much on the book. The
no, I'm
bookstagram
just
girls do
kidding.
not do
I
not
do
conjure that up
love
in this chat, please.
I do love the Bookstagram girlies, but I just have an affinity for book talk because it is where I started. It's by far my largest platform. Y'all been with me from the beginning. So yeah.
Okay. Um, Thank you for answering my questions. Now we're gonna get into viewer questions.
Oh Lord.
No, I had to listen because the Bookstagram girls they have their own community, and I'd be over there too, but it's different. Okay,
It's different
let me
over there. It
let
is.
me let me scroll up. It's different. You got to get in your Canva and you have beautiful like aesthetics, so like you could do the Instagram too.
I could if I had the patience.
Okay.
I don't be wanting to do all of that. I love making the graphics, but that's all you gonna get one or two every other month.
Okay. Let me scroll back to where I think the top of the questions are. Um, is there another series coming? I may have missed it. So we talked about passion and politics.
Yep.
Um, will this Romantasy series be a series? Will this Romantasy book be a part of a series?
That is yet to be determined, but I don't know that I know how to be a one and done type of girl,
Okay.
so probably yes.
So do you feel like all your works will always be a part of a series?
Probably, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Hold on. As an independent author, what are your thoughts on AI?
Y'all leave the AI where it's at, okay? I'm so sorry. I don't like the AI covers. I don't, don't like the AI books. I think that there is something, especially with the art, like I think that there's something so sinister about stealing from other artists to enhance your art, like because you are making covers with stolen art to make your written word look better. I don't like it. Me and AI, I don't think that AI has any place in the creative process.
What would you say is the inspo behind the aesthetics in your covers? Because like you have a very distinct
Hmm.
type of aesthetic. Like where does that come from? What are you trying to convey through your aesthetic as an author?
Really? So for the book covers or just like through
Just
my
both,
Facebook
both,
aesthetic?
both.
Well, because I think that there is a big difference, right? Like there, like my personal like branding. There's the neutrals and the earth tones and all that stuff like that. Those are just really my favorite colors, and
Okay.
those are the colors that I usually gravitate towards. If you ever visit my home, you'll see them here. It's just what I like personally, and I think that a brand should always feel like you because it is you are selling yourself in every way, so you are conveying those things. But for the book covers, honestly, like I think that I just I found a photo that I fell in love with, which was excuse me the cover of Restore Me,
Oh,
and
this one.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I just love that photo so much, and I make my own covers, and I was like, dang, I need a stock photo. I need a black person, and it's very hard to find stock photos that are beautiful and include Black people, and so that was one of like the limitations. And then after I made the cover for Restore Me, I was just like, I want everything to look like it belongs together, and so that was just kind of like the thing. So Restore Me set the tone, and we're just following through.
Okay. Okay. Nella, you might have to clarify what you wrote, but I'm going to try to read it. Do you cry and bawl when you write your own angst, or do you laugh evilly behind the computer?
Okay, so
No, but do you write thinking like, oh, I'm gonna fuck them up with this one? Like, is that like,
well,
are you like, oh, they're gonna fall out over this, or are you
well,
like,
I do have those moments where I'm like, they're really gonna eat me up for this one, and I think that that was my consistent thought throughout writing Revive Me, like all three parts. I was like, they are really about to be on my neck with this. Like, I could see it. But there are a lot of moments that I do get emotional when I'm writing. Like when in Restore Me, when Sloan was telling Dominic about her miscarriage. I sobbed through that whole scene. It was very personal for me, having suffered two of those. So that was lived experience and real pain, and I did cry. I also cried when I wrote the scene in Reclaim Me, where Ray finds out, like, she's on the phone with Hunter, and he's telling her that it's cancer, and all this stuff like that was very personal because having just come off of like 2 years of family members dealing, like my mom dealing with cancer and my husband's grandmother who actually passed away from it, dealing with cancer, it was very like emotional. So I do cry sometimes. Yeah, I told y'all these characters, they be hurting me first. Okay, I'm
okay,
I'm the
okay,
first line
okay?
of defense.
So, what were those first reactions to Revive Me Part One? Can you recall kind of like you like when they start pouring in? What was
Yeah.
that like when the
It
reaction
was
started pouring
it was
in?
a lot of, I don't think I've ever been asked if I was mentally sound that many times. Cause all I would get is messages like, are you insane? Like, you're really crazy, right? Like, there's something wrong with you. And especially when people got to that darn that invitation in the back of the book, like it, everybody, like, if I make a post about that invitation today, I will still have people in my comments like, you are actually unhinged for that. So
Okay,
it was a lot of that, and a lot of me trying to defend myself and Chris and being like, y'all knew they weren't together. This is 10 years before we actually meet them and Restore Me. You knew they weren't together. So yeah, it was a crazy time.
okay. Who was your least favorite character to write?
Hmm. I think I would have to say Chris because I like
I love the Chris slander. I love it. I
it
love it.
was it was so hard because like it was that balance of in parts one and two, but specifically in part two, writing him and writing his love for Mallory, but also knowing that he could not stay. And so like, it was such a hard balance. Like it was like he can't hold back because he can't be like, oh, like this is just a fling because this is the love of his life. But he also can't be like, like he was making promises that I knew he couldn't keep. And I was just like, that was so hard for me. I just wanted everything to be okay for them, and it just was not.
Okay. Next question. Do you see Dominic as a girl dad, or would you like to see him raise boys?
Dominic is a girl dad. If you read Reclaim Me, yes,
So,
so Reclaim Me is actually like, I think maybe 2 or 3 years removed from Revive Me Part 3, and so we get to see Mal and Chris as parents. We get to see Dominic and Sloan as like it. It's a little cameo. We don't follow them home. It's not their books, so we
mhm.
don't follow them home. We don't see them. But Dominic is a girl dad. Him and Sloan have a daughter. So
Okay. Could we get a story on Deanna?
I
Is this the first time you're hearing this?
No,
Oh, okay.
not at all. Like it's every time I write a book and there's a side character, I know I'm about to get. It's just like when Release Me came out and everyone wanted Des, Nadia's best friend. They're like, she needs a book. She needs a book, and I'm like, I'm not thinking about Des right now. I don't
Mhm.
have time for that. I don't see a book for Deanna. I don't have one planned for her, but I never say never.
Okay. Is New Haven done?
Not yet. No, it is not.
Oh, are there even any more R word? Every time you come out with the subject, I said, what R word is is JL Butt to put for this? I'm like, how many R words are? If anything, what's the word for the next one? What's the word?
Let me tell
Blank
you.
me what? Blank me.
That is such a good question because the way that I literally Google read words, like I need more words. So I have a plan for what I'm lovingly calling New Haven Volume 2. So in my mind, Reclaim Me is the end of volume 1, right? Like we wrap up the stories for all the characters that we meet in, in those first iterations of New Haven. So we wrap that up. We that closes with Hunter and Ray. But we do have stories coming for Sebastian's siblings.
I like
So
that.
I'm very excited about that. And yes, there are some R words left, and we
So
will
they're all
be.
going to be R words too.
They sure
Can
will.
you give us one of the R words in volume 2?
I think that it's going to be Sebastian's. I think his next oldest brother, Andreas. His book is going to be called "Regret Me."
Ooh.
So
Can
yeah.
you give us one trope? Give us a trope. Give us a trope.
Oh my God. Okay, so it is a bit of an age gap romance.
Who's the older person?
Andreas is.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, we've got that going. So the thing that's always hard for me with like giving tropes for books I haven't written yet is that I never have a trope list, right? I never write from a trope list. It's
Okay.
always, so I always have to make the trope list after I've written the book and be like, oh, this trope is in there and that trope is in there because it's always just whatever the story is. Like I never think about like the tropification of it all because yeah, I
Okay.
just want
When are we getting Regret Me? And is this book 1 in volume 2?
Yes, that is book 1 and volume 2, and Regret Me will be out this year
Okay. All
in the
right. Y'all heard
fall.
it here first, or you told the newsletter first?
I don't think I told the
Okay.
newsletter.
Exclusive. Okay. Regret Me. Okay. Volume 2 of New Haven, book 1. Regret Me. So I'm thinking later, 2025.
Yeah, in the fall.
Okay. Y'all heard it here first. Next question. Which one of your books would you want do you want adapted into a TV or film the most?
Hmm. I can I say all? I gotta choose one.
That's what the user asked, and I feel like I could totally see this like taking like the Skyland route, and like you could just adapt New Haven as a whole, and you
Yeah,
have all these characters.
that's the dream. That's what I want to see. I want to see all of it. I want to see the arms up angel scene. I want to see I want to see Sloan wonder what the hell is going on with Mal and Chris. I
Hmm.
want to, I want all of it. I want to see all of it.
Okay, okay. Let me get more questions. More questions. Is that it for questions? Wait, I'm scrolling. Wait, there's 99 new messages. Oh my goodness. Okay, hold on. Hold on. Hold on. You see, y'all making comments. Y'all not asking questions. Okay, let me scroll through. Let me scroll. Ooh. Yeah, people are just commenting. I think they're ready. Someone said repossess me. Remember, people are making up R words. If you need ideas, we can go through the R words. But
Okay.
repossess, remember me. Okay. Reassure me. Okay, so y'all got the thesaurus out.
What was Chris's plan for telling Mallory he was engaged? I don't know that man had a plan. Okay, I don't think he did. I honestly think it was for the best that she walked into that restaurant because she probably would have killed him if he would have came home and said, "I am engaged."
Exactly. Someone said receive me. Someone said remake me, remind me. Okay, reveal me. Okay, they're just renew me, remind. Okay, you got all the R words right here if you need them. If you need
Thank
them,
y'all so much. Thank you.
y'all are okay. Let me make sure I got all the questions. I do be digging for info. I do. I do all the exclusives. All the exclusives. I think those are all the questions. I think those. How many books will be in volume two?
Right now, the plan is just for
The
three.
brothers, the siblings.
So it's two brothers. So there's Andreas, Luca, and then their younger sister Zoe.
Okay. Other R words: reward, refuse. Okay, y'all just saying stuff now.
Refuse me could eat down. I don't know. We'll see.
Um, what was your favorite scene to write in Revive Me Part One?
Mm. Y'all really want to know?
I do.
It was the proposal scene. It was.
Okay, so you're just evil. You're just laughing. Okay, you're just evil.
I'm
And
so
that's owing
sorry.
it to this. Like, no, no. Okay, okay, okay. Will Lucas Adler? Will Lucas will get a story? Yeah,
Yeah, Luca will get a story. Luca will get a story.
yeah.
He he's a coming.
Okay, and then I think the one other question that hasn't been answered: what do you do on release day? How do you celebrate?
I spend the whole day on the couch. I
Doing
do
what?
laying there and reposting y'all posts that say
Okay, okay.
happy.
I thought you just like you hit publish and you're done and you go
No,
sit on
no,
the
no,
couch. Okay.
no, no. I do my little release day posts and I comment and I like and share and all the things.
Okay.
But mostly it really is by that point, like I'm just so tired that all I do is just lay on the couch and rest. That's it, and it's glorious.
Okay. Would you ever write a dark romance?
How dark we talking?
Oh, I don't. I don't read a lot of dark romance, admittedly. So like,
Yeah,
I
I
don't.
don't
But I
either.
know it could get real dark.
Yeah, and so I think that for me, like because I am committed to writing black characters
Hmm.
all the time, like I think that there's a limit even for me for the suffering that I am willing to put my characters through. And
Okay. Okay.
I think I don't know that dark romance is my ministry.
Okay. Okay. Some repeat questions that we already kind of covered: is Fairview getting more books? Yes.
Yeah.
Kendra and Orion are next. Do you
Mhm.
want to tell us the
So
title
you
of that?
can I don't have a title for that yet,
Okay.
but I will say that you can. My plan is to if you go back to speak and you read that club scene where Xavier is talking about how all the everyone is paired off, then you'll see a little preview for our pairings.
Okay. Okay.
So
So yeah, Fairview's not done.
not at
Uh,
all.
hold on. Will Hunter's Mentee be in New Haven too? Volume two.
No, no.
Okay.
I don't like doing the kids grown up, books. I don't. Mm-mm.
Okay. Okay.
So no.
Will this live be saved? The interview will be on YouTube. Yes. Um, and I think we did audio updates. We don't have any updates on the audio front.
Nope. Subscribe to my newsletter and you will be sure to get some info when I have it.
Mm-hmm. Any tropes you wouldn't use in your books?
Um, I don't think so.
Okay. And on average, how long does it take for you to complete a book? Like on average?
It depends. It can span anywhere from like 3 months to 2-3 weeks.
Okay.
It
And it seems like you're writing multiple things at once.
No,
So,
I don't. I only
oh,
write one thing at a time.
okay.
So I'm like I might have ideas kind of swirling around in my head, or like now with having an agent and just talking about future projects that we might want to like go out on sub or send off like to the trad market. Like I am having to think about multiple projects at one time. But I never really get into like writing something else at the same time. So yeah.
Okay. In kind of like trying to feel out the traditional market, are you thinking about one of your existing works being adapted into trad or doing something completely new for traditional publishing?
Both actually. So I'm going in. So right now, I can say that we have Restore Me from the New Haven series that is out on submission. It's with a few publishers, and we're trying to see where that goes. Because I think my preference would definitely be to have something that already exists picked up, so that it will give me a little bit more time to work out the things that I'm working on the indie side. Um, but I also have ideas that like the Romantasy, I would love to see that published traditionally. But I mean, like if anything that the trad market doesn't want, like I'm gonna give, I'm gonna self publish anyway because I know what I know about my readers and that they're gonna rock with me regardless. So
Okay. All right. Well, fingers crossed for the trad journey because I know that's a journey.
yeah, yeah.
So fingers crossed for that. Anyways, I think these are all the questions. Um, I think some of the repeat questions you can kind of go, um, you can kind of go look at the live when it's posted to
Yeah.
YouTube tomorrow. How long do you see yourself writing? Forever?
Yeah, this
Okay.
is. I mean, I'm here. I'm not going nowhere. So
Okay. If you weren't writing, what else would you be doing?
I honestly have no idea.
Okay.
That is, I think that I've always wanted to be a writer. So it feels like everything else was just something that I was doing that was going to wind up getting me here anyway. So,
Okay. All right. Anyways, JL Seegers, thank you so, so much.
right, thank
I
you.
cannot wait for the Illusion of Power in
Mhm.
May. And I cannot wait to see you in Atlanta
Yeah.
for the Black Romance
And
Book
I
Fest.
wanted to say that if you want a little preview of The Illusion of Power, you can subscribe to my Patreon. I have shared chapters on there. I think maybe it's like the first 6 or 8 chapters that are up there, and I plan on sharing more as I get them done. So, yeah.
Okay. This is really exciting. Thank you so much for joining. For the rest of you, we're going to stick around for a little bit. But to find JL Seegers elsewhere, sign up for her newsletter, subscribe to her Patreon.
Yeah.
She's on TikTok, she's on Instagram. Next book is out in May, fingers crossed.
Yep.
If you
Yep.
go to the Black Romance Book Festival, say hello. And it was so great talking to you. I am so happy to talk to you.
Thank you so much for having me. Good night, you guys.
J-